You've probably seen the videos about these trucks losing value fast. But here's what those videos don't tell you. It's not just depreciation. It's not a market correction. What happened to these 8 trucks was a deliberate transfer of wealth from your wallet to a corporation's quarterly earnings report. They knew. They launched anyway. And you paid for it. I'm going to show you exactly how each one of these trucks got weaponized against the people who bought them and what it means for anyone still holding one today. If you're new here, this channel exists for one reason: to document what happens when automakers treat buyers like test subjects. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button right now. Not at the end. Right now. Because what I'm about to show you is the kind of information the dealerships and the automakers hope you never see. 8 trucks. All bought new within the last couple of years. All losing value at a rate that would make your financial advisor physically uncomfortable. We're not talking about normal depreciation, the typical 15 to 20% first-year drop every vehicle takes. We're talking about trucks that lost 35, 40, even 55% of their value in 24 months. And here's the thing. In every single case on this list, there were people inside these companies who knew the product wasn't ready, who knew the pricing was unjustifiable, who approved the launch anyway because the quarterly numbers needed to look good. The buyers are the ones who funded that experiment. Here's each one. Number 8 is the Jeep Gladiator. The Gladiator came into the world with a real identity problem, and Stellantis made it worse at every turn. Jeep built a truck for people who want a Wrangler that can haul stuff. That's fine. That's a real niche. But instead of respecting that niche, Stellantis got greedy. They flooded dealer lots with Gladiators, more inventory than the market could absorb, and then started offering discounts up to $20,000 off MSRP just to move units. Think about what that means if you bought one 2 years ago at full price. A brand new 2026 Gladiator is sitting at the dealership for $39,000 after incentives. Your used one? Worth less than that. Congratulations, you paid a premium to own an asset set that's now worth less than the discounted new version of itself. That's not bad luck. That's a predictable outcome of Stellantis' own production and pricing decisions. They created the supply glut. They authorized the discounts. And the people holding used Gladiators eat the loss. Current average resale is around $31,000, and the average loss for 2-year owners is north of $15,000. The truck itself isn't terrible, the off-road capability is real, but it doesn't tow like a Tacoma. The ride is punishing, and the fuel economy is rough enough that anyone who bought one, thinking it would be a practical daily driver, has learned an expensive lesson. When economic pressure hits, the fun toys go first on the used market, and the Gladiator is the definition of a fun toy that Stellantis turned into a financial trap. Number 7 is the GMC Sierra EV, $35,000. That's roughly what early Sierra EV buyers have lost in 2 years on a truck that launched near $90,000. To put that in perspective, that's more than most Americans make in a year. Gone. Because GM needed to show investors they were serious about electric. The Sierra EV runs on GM's Ultium platform, and that platform has been a reliability disaster. Recalls for potential complete loss of drive power. Software glitches causing stability control. Warning lights to malfunction randomly. These aren't minor inconveniences. On a truck that costs nearly 6 figures, these are safety and confidence issues that follow the vehicle's reputation into the used market permanently. But here's the move that really buried Sierra EV owners, and it was entirely GM's choice. After selling early adopters on the Denali Edition 1 near $90,000, GM rolled out more affordable Sierra EV trims in the $60,000 range. Now answer this. Why would a used buyer pay $80,000 for your truck when a brand new one is available for less money? They won't, and they don't. GM undercut its own customers, not accidentally, but as a calculated business decision to grow market share. The people who bought early paid the premium that funded GM's ability to lower prices for everyone else. That's not a market correction. That's a company using its loyal customers as a bridge loan. Number 6 is the GMC Hummer EV pickup. Some people paid $120,000 for a Hummer EV in early 2024. By late 2025, it was worth around $83,000. Nearly $40,000 gone on a truck in less than 2 years. The Hummer EV was never really a truck. It was a statement piece, a rolling announcement that you had money and wanted people to know it. GM leaned into that positioning completely, and the market believed them long enough to sustain inflated prices. Then the flippers sold. The novelty wore off, and the real-world demand for a massively heavy, monumentally inefficient electric truck that gets somewhere around 300 miles of range under ideal conditions, that demand turned out to be very thin. Here's the question that kills Hummer EV resale more than anything else. What happens when the battery needs to be replaced? Nobody has a clean answer. And at the price point these trucks occupy, that uncertainty doesn't just create hesitation, it creates lowball offers. Every used buyer is pricing in battery replacement risk, and right now that risk is not a cheap number. Add in the fact that $10,000 options like special paint and carbon fiber wheels carry nearly zero resale value. Owners ate those costs entirely, and you have a truck that destroys wealth at every level. The Hummer EV is impressive to look at. It is one of the most expensive trucks to own in America right now. Number 5 is the Tesla Cybertruck. In 2025, the Cybertruck had the largest year-over-year sales drop of any electric vehicle in America. Units sold dropped nearly in half. That number tells you everything. Tesla exhausted its die-hard fan base, the people who would buy a stainless steel wedge on faith alone, and then tried to sell it to regular truck buyers. Regular truck buyers looked at it and walked away. Because the Cybertruck is a product designed to impress at a press event, not to serve someone who actually needs a truck, the stainless steel body sounds premium, but in practice it means fingerprints on every surface, road grime that is nearly impossible to clean, and body repair costs so astronomical that insurance companies now charge significantly higher premiums, not just over competitors, but over almost every other vehicle in its class. You're paying more to insure a truck that's also worth less every month. Early reports documented real steering issues, safety-adjacent problems on a truck with a price tag of $80,000 plus. The average 2-year loss is around $34,000, and for the early reservation holders who paid even more during peak hype, the number is worse. The Cybertruck story is ultimately about the danger of buying a cult product. The cult is always the last to know when the moment is past. We're halfway through the list and it only gets worse from here. Before we hit the top 4, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Every week we follow the money on what's happening in the auto industry, who's making decisions that hurt buyers, and what you need to know before you spend $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 on a truck or a car. Hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss it. Alright, number 4, and this one's almost sad. Number 4 is the Nissan Titan XD. The Titan XD was always trying to solve a problem that buyers didn't actually have. It was positioned as a heavy half, more capable than a standard half-ton, but not quite a full heavy-duty truck. More towing capacity than an F-150, but not enough to genuinely compete with an F-250 or Ram 2500 on real heavy-duty work. The market looked at it and said, why? If I need to tow seriously, I'll buy the heavy-duty. If I don't, I'll buy the half-ton that's more efficient and more comfortable. The Titan XD sat in a gap that buyers didn't need filled, and it paid for that positioning for years. Then Nissan made the official announcement. The entire Titan lineup is being discontinued. In the truck world, there is no faster way to create a resale value than those 4 words. The moment buyers hear a model is dead, the calculation changes immediately. Parts availability becomes a question. Dealer support becomes uncertain. Future software updates stop, and demand falls off a cliff. Owners lost over $26,700 on average in 2 years, and that number will get worse as the discontinuation becomes more widely known. Discontinued and demand. Real documented issues, rust problems, thin body panels, an interior that felt dated even when new, don't help. The 5.6-liter V8 is a solid engine, but Nissan couldn't keep the rest of the truck competitive, and instead of fixing it, they walked away. The owners are the ones left holding the bag. Now we're at the top 3. This is where the numbers stop being uncomfortable and start being genuinely shocking. We're talking about trucks from the biggest brands in America, trucks that people bought in good faith, based on decades of trust, losing nearly half their value in 24 months. Here's what actually happened. Number 3 is the Ram 1500. The Ram 1500 is one of the best-selling trucks in America, and in 2 years, average owners lost over $30,800. That is not a niche product problem. That is a mainstream crisis, and it happened because Ram made 2 enormous gambles simultaneously, and both of them failed in front of their customers. Gamble 1. They killed the Hemi V8. The 5.7-liter Hemi had a cult following built over 2 decades. Truck buyers trusted it. They knew what it would do at 200,000 miles. Ram replaced it with the Hurricane twin-turbocharged inline-6. More horsepower is on paper, but the used market doesn't buy spec sheets, it buys track records. And the Hurricane's early track record was ugly. Oil leaks showing up within the first 1,500 miles. Coolant valve module failures. Real reliability problems, documented by real owners, circulating on forums and social media fast enough to spook used buyers before the dealer lots could even absorb the inventory. Gamble 2 was a completely new electrical architecture called Atlantis, and Atlantis delivered a disaster. Flashing odometers, random airbag warning lights, SOS system failures, trucks dying after sitting for just a few days. One owner documented their Ram sitting in the shop for 6 weeks waiting for a PCM replacement with no fix in sight. Here's the thing about launching a new engine and a new electrical platform at the same time. When something goes wrong, nobody knows which one caused it. And that uncertainty is poison for resale value. Ram didn't do this by accident. The decisions to kill the Hemi, launch the Hurricane, and roll out Atlantis simultaneously were made in boardrooms with full knowledge of the risk. The buyers absorbed the cost of getting it wrong. Number 2 is the Ford F-150 Lightning. The Lightning launched with more genuine promise than almost anything else on this list. Ford took its most iconic nameplate, the best-selling vehicle in America, for 47 straight years, and went all in on electric. Early reservation numbers were massive. The press loved it. The concept was real, and then people tried to actually use it like a truck. Here's the problem Ford knew about and didn't adequately solve before launch. When you hook a trailer up to the Lightning and tow near its rated capacity, range drops 50 to 60%. A truck rated to tow 10,000 pounds might get 80 to 100 miles of real range under load. For anyone using this as a work truck, contractors, tradespeople, farmers, that's not a tool. That's a liability. Every job becomes a logistics puzzle around charging stops that may or may not exist where you're working. Ford knew this. The physics of electric towing weren't a surprise. They launched anyway, with a price tag that only made sense if the truck could actually do what work truck buyers needed it to do. The used market figured it out fast. The Lightning got repositioned not as an F-150 replacement, but as a commuter vehicle with a large bed. And the used market pays a fraction of the price for that. The average 2-year loss is $35,800. The Lightning isn't a bad vehicle for the right use case, but Ford sold it as something it wasn't, and the people who bought into that vision are paying for it now. And number 1, the truck with the most staggering value collapse on this entire list is the Chevrolet Silverado EV. 55% of its value disappeared in just 2 years. Some Silverado EV trims were priced at $100,000 when they launched, and owners have lost over $45,500 on average. That is the single worst depreciation story in the modern pickup truck market, and it didn't happen by accident. The Silverado EV inherits all of the Ultium platform's baggage, the same recalls, the same software issues as the Sierra EV, but it has a layer of additional damage that is entirely GM's own doing. GM removed Apple CarPlay and Android Auto from the Silverado EV entirely, no smartphone mirroring at all, on a truck that costs nearly 6 figures. Instead, they forced in a proprietary Google-based infotainment system and then started charging monthly subscription fees to use it fully. $15 a month for basic app access, $25 a month for Super Cruise, features that used to come free through your phone, features that used to be standard, now come with a recurring monthly bill on a truck you already paid $100,000 for. Think about what that means for a used buyer. You're not just buying a truck, you're inheriting a subscription. You're agreeing to send GM money every month just to access the features the truck is supposed to have. That is a red flag that serious used buyers walk away from immediately. GM made this decision knowing it would affect resale. They made it because subscriptions generate recurring revenue that one-time purchases don't. The people who bought early Silverado EVs are now selling a product that carries a built-in monthly cost, and the market prices that aggressively. The EV hype that propped up these prices has evaporated. Nobody wants an electric work truck that kills range the moment temperatures drop, or a trailer goes on the hitch. Nobody wants a $100,000 truck that charges them $25 a month to use the driver assist feature. The result is the single worst depreciation number in this class, and every decision that produced that number was made deliberately by executives who will never personally pay $1 of it.